Peace. Good evening, team. I'm used to the afternoon. Welcome to Childhood Trauma Therapy Podcast, which is SolSista. My name is Misha.
I'm Taquita.
And I'm your host, Bubba Queen.
Peace.
Yeah.
We did it. We did it. All right.
Good job.
So today we're going to be talking about childhood trauma therapy and the direct correlation that it has on your sex life as an adult. So everybody was like, ooh, Misha, that's a taboo. That's taboo, girl. Good job. Good luck with that one. We're going to let you lead that one. And I'm like, okay, I can lead that one because at the end of the day, we're all adults. And we need to have this conversation on how the things you go through or experience, witnessed as a child, how they affect you when it comes to the way that you behave and act as a sexual adult. And so I was thinking about my journey as an adult in the ways that sex has played out with me, in the ways that I've experienced sexuality and, just intimacy overall. And I realized that, you know, there were some things, like even in a positive light, like discovering some things that I didn't realize I liked, but I liked because of the weight that I had, maybe experienced as a child. And so as an adult, when it comes to my sexual life, I like to be submissive because I've always had to have a dominant and masculine role growing up and as a young adult when it comes to making sure that I was being a provider and, carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, it felt like. And so I guess my question to you ladies, my first question is, when it comes to your sex life, do you feel like your childhood traumas have anything to do with your sex life, first off, in the ways that you portray yourself, confidence wise, just when it comes to how often you need it? Are
Mhm.
you not a very sexual person? Did you see your parents and them being intimate with each other? What ways were you exposed to it as a child? Like, what do you think about this topic, you two?
So, I
Scorpio,
guess I gotta
Scorpio,
go
take
first.
the mic. Here you go first.
So, me personally, I grew up in a household where it was just a lot of chaos and things going on. My stepfather was very abusive to my mother, so I seen the opposite of affection and things of that nature. Um, so I didn't really get to see it, even like when I would leave, go to my father's house, like I just didn't just see that display of love. The only thing I got from love was watching movies, watching TV and singing things of that nature. That's how I was taught, love or whatever the case may be, or how to be affectionate and things like that. Besides just common knowledge, when I was younger, I did get. I was never like a very confident person. I was very insecure about my looks and things like that. Always envious of other females. That I seen, felt that they were pretty or whatnot. And then, of course, as you get older, you start to develop. As females, we go through that stage of developing. And I started to notice that, boys my age or younger, men, older men would start to hit on me, and it was more of a sexual advances. And a lot of my connections that I can remember, just growing up, it's always been like with a older person, someone that was older than me. Some of them were my age, but it was always older. Just thinking back to like the sexual encounters that I've had as a teenager, because I mean, we ain't no saints here. We all didn't lost our virginity at a young age. And just thinking back to those, it was more so of me doing it just because I thought that it was the thing to do, like to, because it was supposed to happen in a connection or a relationship or whatever. I never, and I'm just going to be very frank, and I believe that I've read like statistics that a lot of women deal with this, but I can count on my hands how many times I've had an orgasm, and I'm about to be 35 years old. So I have never, like, when I would do have sex, it would never be for pleasure. It was just more so of like, okay, this is the thing to do. And it was more so of the pleasure of the man. Then as I got older, I met men who, were more interested in pleasuring me and things of that nature. So I started to, you know, my sexuality, started to, broaden and things of that nature. I started to realize, and figure that, okay, I need to, if I'm doing this, I have to do this. It should be because I want to do it, not because I'm forced or I feel like I'm obligated to do it. So that was like my mind frame as a young girl, and things of that nature. Being in a relationship with somebody for like years, where it was a very selfish connection as far as sexual. Like I would never get the things that I desire or I wanted. It was always him, him, him. So like again, just and I've had maybe real relationships, maybe two. So I don't have anything to kind of correlate to besides just, just random, not random sexual encounters, but people that I may have had, like, look,
No
I ain't,
judgment, no judgment zone. Talk your shit, girl. Tell you know what I'm saying?
well,
You
not
good. You good. We good.
like situationships, let's put it that way.
Right.
Dealing with men that I'm not in a relationship with, but I'm having, regular sex with. So, it's just kind of dealing with that. And so, like I said, as I got older, I started to realize my own sexuality. And like I said, I've never really, did it for pleasure for me. It was just more so of the thing to do. So I mean, I guess you can say that. And then as far as like, me, I got hit on by men. I had situations where, it was this one time, I it was a family member. It was somebody I think my dad was with at the time, and his son had made like a sexual advance towards me. He was a little older, and it was very, very uncomfortable, but I never spoke about it, I never talked about it. So it was just different things like that that I would get from guys that, from older guys or older men, like making sexual advances towards me. And it just almost make you feel like, again, like you're obligated to do something, and being in fear and feeling like you have to do something, and if you don't do it, and
You're
like
gonna get
it,
in
like
trouble.
what's between your legs is not mine, it's yours, and as like I said, as I got older, I just realized that the power that your vagina has, and you know just being able to stand on, and be comfortable with myself and my sexuality, and just know that the importance of giving that away and who you give that away to. Me, I'm very reserved. Like I'm not the type to just like have like me, I'm just more of a connection person. Like I feel like I have to have a connection with you. I feel like when I was younger, it was more of just the thing to do because guys wanted to do it, and I felt I had to do it. But as I got older, I switched that narrative, and now, or just for a while, I've been doing it because it's something that I want to do, not because of what somebody wants me to do. So, and I don't dabble between multiple sexual partners. That's a whole nother situation. And just more so because I feel like I have to be connected to you on an emotional level and just really feel you to have sex with you. I can't just be, I'm not about to just have sex with you just to have sex with you. Unless it's just like, I don't know, unless it's just one of those things. And then even if I would start to feel guilty or funny, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, this ain't supposed to be happening. We ain't
I'm
got
about to
that
say, why you feel
connection. I'm
guilty?
holler
I'm
at you.
about to ask you that. Like, why would you feel
So
guilty for
yeah,
that?
and then just other stuff, just like just dealing with, like I said, just not having that in the home where you saw the affection and you knew what it was, and having to kind of learn that for yourself as you got older, knowing what's right, what's wrong, and how real affection and love is supposed to look. And I feel like everybody can make it their own, but the only thing I ever had to go off of was just TV.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I certainly had similar experience, like the movie Pretty Woman.
Mm,
Like, I didn't think I was pretty for the longest time, but then once
yep.
I realized, like, oh snap, like you got Oshun energy before I knew what Oshun energy was. Like, once I realized, though, like a whole bunch of, then I expected, okay, well, then somebody's gonna want to just come and, take little old me in. And I, honestly, like, all of my relationships, like, I lived with my significant other, and it was kind of like that situation where, like, I was like stay at home wife, like, provided the lunch, cleaned the house. They went out and worked, and it was like it was kind of that situation. But then, as spirit wanted me to move into my independence, those type of situations and relationships started to become less satisfying a lot faster. And so, realizing this scenario does not equate to happiness. Like,
Mm,
you know, having a nice home and a nice land and nice cars and no bills because someone like the master is taking care of all that does not mean that I get to be happy, you know? And so then it was like, okay, well, I'd rather be by myself than to be in a relationship where, all that's needed of me is my beauty and my sexual energy. I actually realized I want to bring more to the table. Like I want to go out and have a business and a career and know that when I'm shopping, I'm spending my hard earned money. And so then I realized, yeah, the movies that they showed us they were reality. Like
not in
they're
the
not
least.
reality at
Not
all.
even
Like
close.
even if you get a wealthy man that wants to be with you who doesn't care what resources you bring, you still need to bring something to the table outside of your looks, because as long as you're relying on your looks, and that
You're not
sexual
gonna
energy is
find.
going to fade out. You're going to get older eventually. And so then what do you do from there? What else are you bringing to the family, to the table? How else are you helping feed us, contribute to the generational wealth and the changes? So that's what it was for me, was realizing that, as the same for you, Quita, I was, on top of the 6 years of me being sexually abused, I was sexually molested by family members, male and female, family friends, their children. One of my mom's friends, whose sons was supposed to be babysitting me, came in my room once and was like, "Here's a lollipop, now give me oral." So I grew up with a very corrupt, same as you, view on sex. Is that that's what I'm supposed to give people. That's where my worth is. That's where my
Mhm.
value is in the sexual energy that I give to people. And I had to learn through my healing journey is, first off, I have healing energy. A lot of people correlate sex with releasing stressful energy. That release of that buildup of tension is what sex does for a lot of people. So it becomes a
Mhm.
sexual healing, like Marvin Gaye said.
Mhm.
And so I realized that the sexual act on top of my healing energy was why majority of people who approached me in the sexual way, in the sexual nature. It's not necessarily that they were intrigued by me or interested in me. It was literally the energy that I made them feel. I made them feel better just being around them. And the only way they know how to communicate that is through sex, because that's the only thing that's all over the TV, sex education, the movies, like you can find sex
Mhm.
everywhere basically. So it's like, once I learned that that's why I was being approached sexually so often, it made me forgive those people a lot easier, because I realized that it was really just their trauma and them reflecting it onto me, them not understanding why they feel that way or why they want to be around me in that way, but knowing that they needed my energy. And most of them being older than me, I was um, kind of weaker than them. So, they could take that advance of me and didn't have to worry about me saying anything or, standing up for myself. And so I guess I was very promiscuous as a young girl. Me just saying, like, once I got pregnant. Not really until I got pregnant. Once I got pregnant, and you get really your hormones change when you're pregnant, especially if you're a teenager. So like sex became like a thing for me once I became pregnant. Now, up until I became pregnant, I wasn't really worried about sex. I hung out with my friends. I didn't really hang out with a lot of guys. Um, and I think that was just because it literally was the first like 12 years of my life, like 6 years of my life. But from 6 to 12 is all you really remember as a child, anyways, minus maybe 5 or 4. So, like, most of my childhood, all I remember was the sexual abuse. So it was like being able to um, just be around girlfriends. Once I got in high school, I valued that. So I spent a lot of time with my girlfriends. When I would come home, though, my mom, because of her traumas as a child, my great grandmother took her to the doctor at 11 years old and got her first pap smear to see if she was pregnant. I mean, if she was being sexually active or not. And she wasn't. And so it was just a traumatizing experience for her. And on top of that, then she thought that's what you're supposed to do as an adult when you have a young girl. And so she didn't necessarily do that to me, but it was anytime I wasn't in her presence, I must be being fast, or I must be with a boy, or I must be having sex. And I'm like my first time asking to use a tampon, I don't know if I said this on the show or not, but like the first time I asked to use a tampon, it was because all my other friends was using tampons. It was summertime and we had a pool in our apartment, so I wanted to go swimming. I asked to use that tampon, and oh my gosh, like you would have thought that I brought a boy in the house. Like it was like you must be having sex and you're being sexually active, and so getting accused of having sex for so many years and not really even being worried with sex, just wanting to have fun with my friends. Like eventually, I was like, okay, well if I'm gonna keep getting into an argument with you every time I leave the house, I might as well go on and entertain one of these big headed ass little boys and see what this sex thing is about. And I ended up getting pregnant that first time. So it's like, I guess had I not been so promiscuous, I wouldn't have got my daughter. But at the same time, and everything happens for a reason, because I really was the type of lady that I thought I was going to get married and then have my children, because like I just thought that I was that good, and reality was I wasn't. I was one of those teen moms on the TV show. So um I guess being able to look back and understand, first off, why so much sexual energy was exposed to me as a child, but then also being able to transmute that pain into power is why I now can sleep at night and not have any resentment towards anyone who caused those traumas onto me as a child, because that's really what it was. It was a whole bunch of pain, years and years of pain and discomfort, and being taken for granted, a lot of pain, but that energy is just energy. At the end of the day, it's pain because I'm making it pain. If I want to turn that into my power, then it gets turned into my power, you know? And so being able to turn and transmute that amount of pain, sexual trauma, into your personal power as a divine feminine is where you begin to walk into rooms and have your way with people just by being your elegant, classy self, just by speaking your truth, and demanding respect without having to ask for respect in the room, because that's a lot of energy. So like having my energy complimented lately and stuff has been like, where's all this passion coming from, and where's all this and this and oh my god, like you're a woman. And I'm like, yeah, that's because I officially have transmuted all of that pain into power. Like, I recognize now that all of my sexual pain I went through as a child was pure energy source. It was just generated energy that I needed to be able to use for right now in the stage that I'm walking in. You know?
Well,
Yes.
you are dope for coming to that conclusion because most people don't. Now, I will say this before I get into my business. I don't see you keep saying that you were promiscuous as a child. Now, from the story you just told, you weren't promiscuous. You were a child. You had dealt with sexual abuse for a very long time, and then you didn't get sexual. Your mom kept accusing you of being this and doing that. So then as a child, you decided, well, let me go see what that's about. That's not being promiscuous.
Mm.
That's being
Promiscuous,
curious.
yeah, that's being curious. Promiscuous is when you are 11 years old with no, and you live with your grandmother who goes to church and is a holy roller, but you're 11 years old and you want to go and have a boy, an 18-year-old boy, play around with your stuff.
Oh yeah, no, see, I wasn't doing none of that.
Right.
Wow.
See, that's what, see, I know people who've done that. See, that's promiscuous. When you are actually going out with no example, with no influence, it's just you have this thing where, and not to say that there's no influence, because a lot of women who go through, sexual traumas, that turns into that. But from what you just said, that wasn't you. So
Mm.
I want you to stop claiming that.
Thank you, sister.
Okay,
I appreciate that.
let's add up.
See, but that's the programming that they get because y'all know that song. Because around the time when my childhood traumas, the sex and stuff was kind of winding down, that song by Nelly Furtado and
Oh
Timberland
yeah,
was on.
promiscuous,
Promiscuous girl.
Promiscuous girl,
promiscuous
you
girl.
teasing
Look,
me, and
that's
I
the
was like,
song though.
what?
That was my
Because
song.
I
That's
know
yeah.
what
That's
this means,
But
and
I,
I didn't know what it meant at all.
no
Had no idea. It
relation.
was
No
serious problem.
relation. I just
that's
like the
music
beat.
is powerful, but that goes to show you how words and music is powerful because you take in on that energy when
Yeah.
you sing these songs. And not to get off topic, but like that new song that Beyonce got at everybody raving and
I
cracking about.
haven't.
I hope y'all
Talking
sisters,
about quitting their job.
I hope y'all not go quit your jobs listening to that.
What song is it?
Called
What is
Breaking
it?
My Soul.
Break
Something
my
is a
soul.
big
Yeah, don't break my
controversy
soul.
about that right now
I've
by
never heard it.
me
I
I
neither.
haven't heard it
really have
either.
not
Me
listened to it.
either. Me either.
I just know from what people say.
Yeah. But to get back on topic, we're not about to give she make enough money. We don't need to give her any more shots.
Okay.
I'm going to try to creatively bring this out because it's a little weird. Little yeah. So my issues with sex, as far as my childhood traumas and how that correlates, is just as far as my insecurities, not feeling that a man would love me. Thinking that I have to be promiscuous in order to have a man to show me some type of affection. So, watching my mom is a very modest woman because of her childhood trauma. She was molested by my grandfather, so she's very closed in sexually. I grew up in church with her, so she dresses modestly, all that stuff. So I've never really gotten the sex vibes or any real example, I should say, from my mom in that life. Of course, clearly she had sex, but she had me, and now she was had me when she was 19. But she was looking for love. She was looking for to have a baby so that that baby can love her, not necessarily going out there to spread her legs all wide and whatnot. So when she got into her relationship, I was watching her in her relationship. You know what I'm saying? She's submissive, cook, clean, do everything, secretary, all that jazz. So growing up, I felt like I had to, do all of those things in order to get and keep a man's attention. She also was in a polygamous relationship. So you're talking about a man who's sharing, so she's dealing with other women and what she has to bring to the table to counteract that and all that. So I watched all of that. So it made me feel like I had to take care of a man in a certain form of fashion in order to have him to love me and to take, to see me, in that light. So I was a late bloomer. All of my friends and even my younger siblings were all having sex. Okay. And what I was doing is something in me wouldn't allow me to do it. So I would read Zane books. I have every book that I've ever bought in high school. I still have it.
Relaxing.
So I used to get my little sexual fix from those books at first. So then one time, by the time I got 18, I was tired. I'm tired of reading these books. I'm tired of getting all hot and bothered and you know what I'm saying, and no resolutions. So, you know what I'm saying? So my sister kind of hooked me up with this dude. It was not the ideal way to lose your virginity. Like I said, I wasn't extra and all that. I wasn't all wild and outside. I only did it with him honestly because I knew my sister and I trusted her. So okay, this is a guy. All right, cool. So I did it. It was whack. Never seen the guy again and all that good stuff. But I remember telling my mom about it. And me and my mom were close, so I had the ability to talk to her about those things. So I talked to her about it and whatever, whatever. She didn't scold me or get extra, but she said something that really changed my life, and I'm just going to say it. So she asked me, "Did I give oral?" I told her no, but her response to me was that that's something that I'm going to have to get used to because that's what men like.
I
Mhm.
remember you telling me this to try to hide my
I
reaction.
don't know if she remembers me telling her this. I remember her telling me this, but she absolutely told me that. So from that day forth, and not to say I was going around sucking dick, no sir, no ma'am. That's not. Let's get that clear. Let me put my face up on camera on you to say it again. Some queen Tamara, no name of our association going around just sucking dick. No, we don't do that.
They'd be like, girl, Tamara
Yeah,
said
no.
she was going around sucking dick on
No, you know what I'm saying? And they will absolutely say that. They will absolutely say that. So no, that's not what I was doing.
them. Okay.
But
Okay.
whenever I did feel comfortable with a man to have sex with them, I felt like I was obligated to do that. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to make sure that they liked me. I wanted to make sure anything that I did, I finally got this opportunity to have sex. That's how I saw it in my mind. So I need to make sure that they like it so they can come back. I wasn't thinking about myself. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I honestly didn't really get head until my second relationship. And it wasn't even that often, you know what I'm saying? And even in the relationship I'm in now. Honestly, it took him a while to get there because, man, if you don't ask for it, he ain't got to do it, then he won't. This is at the beginning because we started off as fuck buddies. Now it's a different story. But you know what I'm saying? Back then, it was more so me trying so hard to make sure that I please my man because that's the only thing that's gonna help have me keep him. So I never thought about myself. I never thought to ask. There's certain things that I wanted, certain things that I wanted to change, but I was too afraid to say anything because I'm getting steady dick. Let me not complain. Let me not, you know what I'm saying? I didn't understand who I was and how precious, what I'm saying, my body and who I am are. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually still in the process of understanding that.
Mhm.
You
A
know what I'm
lot
saying?
of females go through that, and I really do feel that because I completely understand. You like I can't tell you just because of just me the childhood traumas that I've dealt with and not being able to or being afraid to speak up because of the abuse and stuff that was going on in my home, being afraid to just speak my piece and speak up. That correlates to the sexual situations I've dealt with too. Like when you're in the bedroom, it's supposed to be a mutual thing. You want pleasure, you got to give pleasure too. So it's supposed to be a mutual
Equal
thing. And
reciprocation.
a lot of times as women, we look at it like, oh, we got to please the man, and we just sit there and we just getting fucked. Pretty much. You know what I'm saying? We're
Just
not
having
getting
our,
what
and
we
that can
want. We're
actually
not getting the
cause.
pleasure. They ain't like none of that. Like they're not doing it to please us or to make sure we get all or whatever. It's just more so, hey, you got yours, so I'm done.
Mhm.
Like
And
what?
that can actually cause physical pains and like back pain, lower back pain, and
Really?
yes, some other pains. I know for sure lower back pain.
Well, girl, that's
Like
probably why.
Ken know, like laying on your back and not having your sexual root chakra energy
Yeah,
released.
yeah.
Just having yours built up and then
Right. It's
released to
built up,
somebody else
and you
and
just
having their
like,
energy put on you on top of that.
yeah.
Mm-mm. That's
And a
not how
lot
it's
of us
supposed to
As
women
be.
do
you
that.
saying that sounds crazy.
That's
Now,
crazy.
for me, I've had steady great sex for the past 13 years, so I can't. Yeah, well, first of all, I'm fucking a grown ass man.
Period. That
There's
part. This
levels
is
to
why I
that.
like older men.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you're younger, men don't know what the fuck they doing either. They think they do. They swear they do. They got to tell themselves that.
Girl, they
You
don't be
know,
knowing. They don't
and,
know. You
and
like,
that's
what is
because
you
they're not
doing?
taught. And that's because they're not taught. Like my man grew up around a bunch of women.
Mm.
Yeah, he grew up in a household full of women. So listening to those conversations, seeing, how they relate to each other, how his aunties was acting when, Mr. Joe showed up and, and all of that jazz. Like, he learned. So his MO was always to please.
And
You
that's how it should be on both ends. I feel like
Period.
if both parties go into it like I want to please you, my
It's
job is to please you, and
amazing.
the other
I'm
one does the
telling
same,
you. It's
y'all will
amazing.
be good.
They
But
don't
people
get it.
don't go in with that mindset. They go into it being selfish and like, oh, I'm just here to get what I'm. No,
For
it's a
my
whole
release.
different
The
thing.
best sex is when both people are trying
Wanting to
to fuck
please.
the shit out of each other.
Yes.
Amen.
That is the
Amen.
most amazing feeling you can ever have when y'all are both thinking about each other. You trying to fight
Right.
and compete with pleasing each other. That
Now
makes
there's a difference though between that being because y'all both sexually attracted and then because y'all just got into an argument and now
Oh
y'all both
yeah.
no,
No,
turned
no,
that's
no,
on
no,
by
no,
makeup
not no, no,
sex
no,
and
no,
the
no.
toxicity of it.
That's
no.
toxicity, and I
There's a
know people
difference.
think that too. Yeah, yeah,
Right,
that
because I
that
know a lot
makeup
of
set.
people who will try to make their significant others mad just for the makeup sex. And I'm like, but that's a whole day of me being pissed off at you for 30 minutes, maybe 20 to 30 minutes of makeup sex.
Well, we can just do it. We ain't gotta be
Right, why you
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
piss me
yeah.
off
Why do all
though?
Let's
that?
just do
Like,
it. We
Right?
ain't gotta be
exactly.
mad.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I know people, and these are one of the great points for this podcast tonight. Please don't mistake toxicity for passion.
Period.
I know too many people who swear up and down because they get fuck crazy. You know what I'm saying? That means that they love, or because you fight and argue. Well, if he wouldn't love me, if he wouldn't be putting all that energy into that, he wouldn't argue
Right.
with me if he didn't love me. He would just leave and all that. Nah, that ain't it. Love, true love and relationship does not hurt.
It's
You're gonna
easy.
have
It's
you're gonna have your
calm. It's
obstacles,
peaceful.
but it doesn't hurt, and not
Mm-mm.
consistently.
Yeah.
It does not. So if you got to fight and get into a belligerent argument and cursing each other out and throwing shit, and then like that song that we played, what
Oh
was
yeah, the Kendrick
yeah,
Lamar song.
yeah, that's exactly. F you, bitch, but, and then at the end, no, fuck you, no,
Yeah, that's toxic.
no, we got to get out of that. That's not cool. I know that's what you see in the videos. I know that's what we see in movies, but
And
we
then I'll,
need to get that out of your mind. That is
if
not.
that is your relationship, because we about to segue, I'm segueing right now, y'all, okay? So if that is your relationship, that's okay if that's what you want to do. But do not be irresponsible enough to be having this toxic ass sex without protection.
I know what you're segueing into
You
now.
know what I'm segueing
Let
to?
me sip my water.
Right? Because when we bring children into this world, there's a certain responsibility that comes with it, whether you like the parent that you've procreated with or not. This is why you should think about who you're laying down with before you procreate with them. But if you know that you're in a toxic relationship and you choose to keep being intimate in that toxic relationship and then you get pregnant, that has nothing to do with the baby. That has nothing to do with your responsibility now as a pregnant woman because you knew where the relationship was. This is specifically for those who know they're in a toxic ass relationship and they still having unprotected sex with the person, male or female. If you're gonna be irresponsible enough to say that I don't care if I procreate with this person that I only like right now while I'm laying down in the bed with them, then you should not have the option to get out of giving birth to that child just because you don't want to be stuck with this person. If you didn't want to be stuck with that person, you would have been using contraceptives, condoms, birth control, not having sex with the person. You
Mm.
know, like
I don't. That's always enough.
that's always on the table. You don't have to have sex with people you don't like in reality.
Or you can
You
go
know,
have sex with somebody you do like.
right? You don't have to have sex with
you know.
nobody, especially if you know that you're not ready to bring a child into the world.
Right.
So I had a girl that I was cool with. And even before my hysterectomy, I was passionate about abortions because my mom was a single mother of 5 children, and not once did she ever abort her ass. Now, did I get this? Did we see the shit end of what happens when you don't abort and you decide to have you to keep all your children? Yes, I did. But at the same time, it kind of gave me a there's no excuses, because if you don't want to keep them, there's always adoption. There's always a family, a woman who wants children and can't have children. And so when I became pregnant, not once did I ever think about abortion. And I honestly appreciate that it's illegal that you suggest abortions, because as a teenager, when I had my friend's dad come and tell me that multiple of his ex-girlfriends have had abortions and that I should just get an abortion, or when I had one of my aunties asked me if I thought about abortions, like that made me uncomfortable because I wasn't thinking about abortion. I didn't want an abortion. So now I'm just put in an uncomfortable situation having this conversation with you about a topic that I'm not thinking about, you know? But I had a girl, um, we were friends, and in this one year, so in 365 days, she was dating this one guy, and they got pregnant 3 times in 365 days, and she had an abortion 3 times in 365 days because she did not want to stop laying down with him or end the relationship or have sex with a condom or something, you know? And so she came to me and she's confiding in me and expecting me to show her sympathy and empathy. And I'm mortified because me, as a young sterile woman, a victim of this mass hysterectomy campaign they have going on, I would give anything to be able to experience, me bringing life into this world. And then for you to just be being reckless with it, it's not because of medical conditions. It's not because you've been sexually assaulted or raped. It's not because you messed up one time and was like, no, I'm not ready. This is out of just pure irresponsibility and selfishness and neglect and recklessness and, like all of that in one. Because who does that? Like, I feel like I was talking to somebody else after I talked to you today, and they were saying, abortions is not helping the melanin community at all. Last statistic I heard a few years ago, it could be even higher now with people like her in the world. I don't know, but there was 1 in every 4 melanin child was aborted. Now, I know that I don't know what any other race and their statistics are doing because that's their business. I just know about my community, and I know that there's high numbers of Planned Parenthood clinics in our communities, and that they target us and our children and or our women for abortions. Like, we're the prime candidate. It's not they want us to have the abortions. Why do they want us to have the abortions? Why do they need to be on every corner in our neighborhoods, in the cities? And so with that, I feel like they're not doing nothing but helping us in the long run, because we don't have as many of the situations where it's rape, or it's a lot of it is just recklessness, just irresponsible. So if this means that you have to be responsible with who you lay down with and how you lay down with them, would think about whether you want to get pregnant or not, then that's what it is. We should have to think about that anyways. But because abortion has been legal, you've been able to just lay down whoever you want and not think about the consequences. If not for a spiritual reason, I feel like the melanin population can do nothing but grow in a positive light with abortions being illegal. And that's just me personally. I
Well,
feel like this is something that spirit, that God has written in stone, along with a lot of this other stuff that's in the system, that whether y'all want to believe it, agree with it, or whatever not, is meant solely to keep us down and all those were suppressed, and the low man on the totem pole. Well, a lot of that stuff is being reversed. And one of our biggest problems when it comes to building our population over the last most recent years has been Planned Parenthood and abortions.
well, I did a whole show on this the other day, so Quita, I'm gonna let you go ahead and throw your $2 in there because I have a twist like I always do in everything. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Uh, Me personally, like when I was younger, this was before. This was before I was like I knew I honestly can say this was before I knew better. Like I just was like, my mind was, oh, if I have a boyfriend, because like I said, I didn't have a structured household. I didn't know what love, I didn't have an example of love or what a relationship is supposed to be. So the only thing I saw was stuff that I would see. I would see girls getting pregnant, moving with their boyfriend, and things like that. And I thought that was just the thing to do, right? I graduated high school. I got pregnant, like maybe a month before I graduated, and got kicked out. The first thing that my mom and my grandma said was like, "You get an abortion." I was 17 at the time, so I wasn't an adult, so I really didn't have a choice. And everything in me was screaming, "Do not get an abortion." But how I don't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I'm still a minor. So I ran away, and I didn't get an abortion because I ran away, and my mom was just like done with me. She was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like she just was like through, right? And then like my kids father's mother, she had her daughter had already had a child at like 14. So she had already been through, she had two kids by this time. And she was only a year older than me. So she's been through this, and she just looked at me and she said, "You know what?" She said, "Your mama will come around." She said it's okay. So my mama, I got kicked out. I was staying with my boyfriend, and at the time, I'm like, oh, I'm thinking it's the best thing since sliced bread. Like I'm being completely honest. Like I'm just like, oh, I got a boyfriend. He look cute. Da, 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 my type of baby. I'm thinking it's just like this is the life. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know anything beyond that. I haven't seen it. I wasn't. No one talked to me. I didn't have that. So this is what I'm thinking. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a baby, whatever. So like we got together and things of that nature, and it was, I can honestly say, it was not a positive relationship. It was very toxic. It was just all over the place. He was narcissistic, just very, just all, it was just crazy. And we do have three beautiful children now, and I'm grateful for that. But and during the process, I did have an abortion. I did get pregnant one time, and I was like, no, it was, I think it was like right after I had my first son. And but again, at that time, I'm 19 years old. I don't know no better. I was not raised to know this and to know that. And I'm being very transparent right now because don't nobody really know that that's ever happened. But I just felt to kind of shed light on that because I understand your situation, Misha. But I said all that to say that a lot of times, now when you're older, you know better. When you know better, you do better. But when I was younger, I did not know. I had no guidance. I had nothing, and I did have an abortion, and it wasn't. It was just like, okay, I'm not ready for one. I do. We just had one. I'm not about to have another one. And what's so crazy is right after that, I did not have my daughter. So once I got to my son, my youngest, I was like, I like by that time I was like in my mid 20s, and I was like, why am I still dealing, like I already know I'm not about to sit here and have another baby with this man. If I know I can't control myself enough to just be like, I'm not going to deal with you on the sexual level no more, I need to be responsible to not bring another child into this world. For one, I'm like, it's too much financially for me. I already got three. I don't need this. You know what I'm saying? And I just knew the connection was just crazy. And I made that personal decision to go and get on birth control so that I can be cautious and not end up in that position again. So I said all that to say pretty much like some people just don't know any better, and they were not raised to have this knowledge, and they think, okay, that's just the only choice that they have. Or again, they get in these toxic relationships. They get, like I said, I thought being in that relationship with him was the best thing since sliced bread. I just thought I was living a life. And it's not until I got older, like, this is not the life. Just sitting around here being a baby mama, that's not a life. I want to do things. I want to travel. I want to show my kids. I want to raise them in an environment completely different from what I had. And it was just that I just got knowledge. I learned, and it wasn't because anybody taught me. It was just self knowledge. I just had to go through certain things, and I had to have certain losses to experience certain things to be able to become wiser. So some women just don't know, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not, taking up for anybody, but some women just don't know any better, and they just do it out of whatever, and because of the situation they in. I was in that situation for like 10 years, since I was 17 in high school. That's the only thing I knew. So I didn't know any better. I'm just out here like, yeah, I'm still gonna have sex. Yeah, it's toxic, whatever. But I didn't know no better. I grew up in a toxic in a toxic home. What do I know? You know what I'm saying? I don't know any different. So I just said that to say that, as far as the abortion situation, because of that situation I've been through, I am not for them taking rights from women. And because I've been through that, because I've lived it. And that's why I feel that way. I see both sides, and I don't disagree with them, but I just feel like the government has no right to take away that right of a woman because of situations like what I've been through, and because of situations like rape. So that's why I am against it. But that is my personal opinion on that.
Now, does the woman only have that right though because the government gave it to them? Because now, if you're talking about natural abortions and stuff, now if
Mhm,
someone was doing a herbal something that didn't have anything to do with the doctor because they had the knowledge, that would be a different situation. But we're talking about is the abortions that are only provided because the government has made those things available. You know,
mhm,
like, was abortion a thought as often as it is now before Planned Parenthood was a thing? Or did we just do what we had to do as women?
mhm,
Or not, we were a lot more cautious about who we laid down with. First
mhm,
off, we made sure that the man and us, we had the resources, or that it was planned. We planned. We planned. As reckless as they like to make melanin people seem when it comes to having children, I know there was a time where we planned and we had our children knowing that we could provide for them and take care of them rather than just popping up and having a whole bunch of accidental babies for
mhm.
generations. Like, I don't believe that about us. You
Yeah,
know,
it just depends on. I just honestly feel like it just depends on how you were raised, the environment you grew up in, and how. Like I said, for me, that's all I knew. All I knew was toxicity. To me, that type of relationship was what it was. I grew up watching my mama get her ass beat, pretty much. So
yep.
I'm thinking like that's just what it is, and it was okay to constantly keep laying down and being with this person because I thought that that was love. I knew no better. Now, as a woman of my age now, of course, I wouldn't put my. That's why I did what I did and got on birth control. So if I do ever decide to have a child, it would be my choice.
Hmm.
I didn't want to keep having situations where I wake up one day and I'm like, oh, I missed my period, and then I'm sitting here stressed out for the next couple of weeks or whatever. I was tired of living that life, and
Man,
then
I would kill.
and laying
Yeah,
down with people with a man who was not wasn't even worth me even talking to. You see what I'm saying? So I had
that
to
part.
grow up. I had to experience all those situations to realize like this ain't it. I got to do better and not to put myself back in that position. And a lot of women just have to, it sucks, but a lot of women may have to go through those certain things because they may have had a similar lifestyle that I have growing up, and they just don't know no better. They don't have anybody to look up to. They don't have anybody to teach them right from wrong. Now, a woman who knows better, and sometimes age is nothing but a number. So you can be my age, 35 years old, and still don't know no better. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So, it's just like, it just really depends on your mindset, your willingness to say, okay, you want to change in your life. At some point in your life, you're going to have to stop, you're going to have to take accountability. As you said, Tamara, you got to take accountability for your actions. And I just took accountability for my actions. It took a while for me to get there. Just like a grieving process, you can't really tell anybody when to kind of come up out of something.
Hmm.
Everybody has their own life, path. So I'm just thankful that I got a wake up call, and got knocked upside my head, in enough time for me to change my life around for the better. You know what I'm saying? So that like I said, that's the only reason why I would feel against it, because I've lived it and I understand it, and I see both sides. I just for those type of situations, people need to be a little bit more, understandable in that regards. I do understand that there's other options, and don't get me wrong, that was an option that I thought about when, they were throwing in like, oh, you got to get it. I'm like, but if you think about it as a woman, a lot of times we get attached to our feet, our child while they're in the womb. I know I was with my first and my last. I was completely attached. Like, could nobody tell me? Like, I was like, these babies supposed to be here. Like, I just felt a very strong connection to them. So, like, sometimes you have that connection to them, and then when the baby gets here, adoption can be very hard. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just so many ways, and that's why I don't judge. I don't really be like, oh, you got to do. I just feel like nobody should tell anybody what to do. Period. It's just like, that's just how I feel. It's just so many different variables and scenarios that things can go, and it shouldn't be just one set thing. It needs to be some gray area there. It shouldn't just be black and white. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you got to do that. Life,
Yeah,
it's just not that simple,
right.
all the time.
No.
Well, to throw my $2 in there, I like I said, and I actually want you guys. I don't know if y'all did. I want you guys to watch my episode or of that, and I want you to give me your thoughts privately, see how you feel about it. My thing is, it's not even about being for or against it.
Hmm.
It may not seem that way in my video, but for me, because like with the board, when this wasn't an issue, I've went to abortion clinics with a couple of my friends in high school to be their
Hmm.
support system. I've never judged them, and I never will. I never judge a person who's done that, like at all. Again, that's
Hmm.
your body. You can do what you want, whatever it is, and all that. I'm cool with that. But also, on the other hand, I do also understand responsibility because I've also witnessed people who bring children into this world and destroy their lives
Hmm.
for selfish reasons. There are certain people in this world that need to be regulated, straight up and down. Like
That's
I
it.
said,
That's all.
there's people who don't know better. So if you don't know better, then clearly you need to be told what to do.
Hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I feel like it should be a gray area. But with our government, we all know that's not how this government
Right.
works.
Exactly.
It's only a gray area if you're a part of the 1% or if you know the loopholes. It's
Hmm.
never just because this could be a simple fix. It shouldn't even be an argument. It should be, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to make it illegal, you should allow people who are in special circumstances to be able to do that.
Right.
That because we're living in a certain time where certain things happen. So that
Hmm.
should be taken into consideration. So
Yeah.
by all means, I feel that way. But my strongest thing as far as our community,
Hmm.
it needs to be responsibility. Because to be quite honest, this abortion thing, really issue is with white people. Sorry guys, these old white men in this government understand statistics. See, the statistics that we go by are their statistics, and they're about to be the minority if they're not already. So
Yeah.
they need their women to have babies. They need their women to, you know what I'm saying, to not
Hmm.
have this right. It has really nothing to do with us. They had these abortion clinics in our communities because they needed to stop us from having so many children.
Hmm.
So this is why when I talk about this, I talk about the us being responsible for ourselves because we can't control. We can pick it all day and argue all day. The law's the law. They not about to change that shit, and you know that. So as an individual, what are you going to do in your life to counteract that? Are you going to just be reckless with your body? You know what I'm saying? Because you
Right.
feel like you have the right to
Right.
do. Are you going to? Because again, we're talking about life, and it's
Right. I
complicated.
can see.
It's
Yes.
complicated when you're talking about your life as a woman, but you're also talking about that life of that human being because you know how I believe everything
There's a
has a soul.
soul at the time of
Yeah,
conception.
and if you got pregnant, that means that soul's supposed to be here. If that baby's
Hmm.
here under whatever circumstances it is, if that child is here, it was here for a reason. And whatever circumstances it came into, that's their lesson. That's how that's supposed to go. That's how I truly feel. All your childhood traumas, all that are your stepping stones to
You
your
sign up for that. You're sold.
sign
You
up for
make
that
that
on the
contract.
spiritual level. So
So
it gets
I signed
real
up
deep.
to be born and then to go home from the hospital to a homeless shelter with colic for 10 months, crying my head off. I signed up to put my mom through that. My mom signed up to go through that. And
That
so.
sounds weird to most people, but how clearly we believe that's how we see it. So can't tell folks how to believe. You have a right to believe how you want to. So all you got to do is just move accordingly.
Mhm.
This is not 1973. I went through the whole history of that. I did small Roe versus Wade, who the person was, why the actual case came about. It was a woman. See, back in 1973, we definitely didn't have rights. We definitely didn't have rights. But for them, this was about white women. This was a woman who already gave up to her children. So whomever she was with, she was either getting raped or that was her husband. See, back in those days, the government, they say, is a split, what is it, a separation of church and state, but that's not true. They run this country like the Bible. So your husband is literally your slave. I actually saw a Hebrew Israelite post this. They take the Bible literally. So their wives were their slaves. So this is why they had to bring about this law, you know what I'm saying, to protect themselves because they couldn't provide for themselves. That was another thing. That's the reason why they dealt with that because there was no way for a woman to get a job. She was solely, what I'm saying, dependent on the man. So that's why they had to make this law. Well, this is different now. 2022, you can get a job. In our community, black women are making more money than black men, statistically. So you don't have to have a child. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be, to have that life. You can be responsible. You cannot have sex. You can use a condom. Like I said on my other show, I've been having sex with the same man for 13 years and I've never had a scare. It's because we use condoms. Because we are responsible. We're not thinking to ourselves, oh, we've been having sex for 10 years, so we belong to each other, so we should be having raw sex. That's what we think. We're together now, so now we don't need this barrier. Because somehow this barrier is just simply because I don't know you. You shouldn't be having sex with somebody you don't know anyway. Comes back to responsibility, even with yourself. When you think about the procedures when you're doing this, these are the things you got to think about when you're making a choice, whatever choice it is you want to make. There's a lot of women when you're young, you make those decisions. Then when you get older and you want to have children, you can't. Or the children that you have, you know what I'm saying, got issues because you don't know what they're doing when they up in there. You don't know if they stepped out too much. You know what I'm saying? You have no idea. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So if you're an adult, now children are different. Now as adults, we need to teach our kids. Use sex education. Teach your children about that. Don't let Beyonce and Cardi B and them be the ones teaching your children about sex. You got to change it.
Not even TikTok, man. Because now
Yeah,
my daughter thinks that she is a freaking activist from heaven because what TikTok has taught her. So my daughter is livid. Even though I'm pro life, she is very much pro abortion. And she feels like she's disgusted by my way of thoughts because TikTok told her this and TikTok told her that. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying if you don't want to have a baby, don't have sex.
foul,
That's all I'm saying.
foul.
Now,
Pregnancy is
like
a
I
hundred
said, being
percent
someone who was
preventable.
sexually abused for 6 years, I came onto my cycle shortly uh, before the last year. I think the last year I was on my cycle. So in that year from 11 to 12, I could have probably, well, I wasn't being set. He wasn't. I guess I couldn't get good and got pregnant because it was always oral. But if it would have ever been intercourse and I got pregnant, I would understand. I don't really want to keep this child. So, like I said, that's a situation. I understand if it's a situation where your health or your life is at risk. If you give birth to your child, then yes, you probably want to have an abortion. And that child, when y'all souls are aligned, then it will take to your body. there's situations I understand where abortions, but even then, there's natural abortions you can have to where you aren't jeopardizing being able to be fertile when you do want to have a baby. Because the way that they do a lot of these procedures and the chemicals that go in your bodies, then 5 years down the road, you want to have a child, but now you can't because your body and your uterus was damaged from the one or two or three abortions that you had prior to. And so they make it seem like it's a very simple procedure, but on a spiritual level, I don't really see anything simple taking place whenever you're removing the soul from your universe.
From a physical standpoint, you're
Right.
sucking something up your body, and your body is made the way it's supposed to. So your womb, if you had that baby naturally, the baby is naturally supposed to be in there. So doing sucking that out, that like
It
I
was
won't even
boring.
do regular surgery. Like I got excess skin on my stomach that's probably gonna always be there. Now, I'm gonna do as much crunches as I can to get it down, but I refuse to let anybody nip and tuck on me. You know what I'm saying? Because once you open up your body and start messing around with stuff, you have no idea how that affects you.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So again, it's about for me, it's about being responsible.
Right.
You see with the light, you see the world that we're living in, you need to move accordingly. There's so many things that should be a certain way. There's so many things that are wrong. There's so many laws that are wrong. Like marijuana should have been, you know what I'm saying,
Legal
legal.
nationwide.
How many people have been locked up, lost their lives, lost their
Still
family?
are.
And you know what I'm saying? Because that's a law. Simply. You know what I'm saying? But now, because they can make money or whatever, now it's being legalized. So these laws change based off of how the government feels and what works for them, not us.
Right.
So that's why we have to be responsible because they don't care. They'll take your baby, make money off of that. Not have a baby, it's all about money and survival for them. We got to start feeling thinking the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you if you're gonna have sex, if you're gonna do it, just be responsible. If you know that children is not in your, it's not in your wheelhouse or something that you want, then don't have sex. Use a condom. Make sure the woman that you with got on is on birth control, whatever it is that you got to do. But there's no excuse to just be having babies that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like the arguing back and forth about it as well. You have women now fighting over women when we're supposed to, you know what I'm saying,
Be
fight.
in unity. And that's another reason that this is the thing is simply just division. It's simply just another form of division within our community. So
Absolutely, absolutely, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
mm-mm.
I feel like
Because in reality we shouldn't be having a conversation on
we
if it's
shouldn't.
like,
We
that
shouldn't.
shouldn't
And
be a
we shouldn't. But
thing.
that's why I feel like it's about nowadays, a lot of people just, we look at sex as our comfort, because life
Hmm.
is so hard and,
It's healing.
it's a healer, all of that good stuff, and it's easy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we don't want to let that go. We don't want to do the shadow work or whatever work that we need to do so that we feel whole, so we don't need sex for that. And I feel like that's part of our issue as a group. So if we can tackle that, trust me, I understand how great it is. It's amazing. It feels amazing. Like I said, healing. You can manifest with sex if you do it
Yeah,
right. And that's what I'm saying. If you truly
because it's a
understand
whole
what sex
superpower.
is, you can truly manifest your whole life through sex. You
Did you
can
know the
really do
woman's
that.
orgasm? Now listen to this. Y'all said that we, myself included, we went all these years in these relationships where we were allowing these men to just drain us of our sexual essence. But the most powerful tool of manifestation is the woman's orgasm.
Yeah.
So every single time that you've orgasmed and it was just a blank orgasm, you missed the opportunity to bring a dream or a goal closer to your reality simply because there was no intention with your orgasm. So no, I don't like people just humping on me, and sweating on me, and just taking my energy because I'm trying to build. Why are you laughing at me? I'm being
Now I feel
serious.
you. Because you
I'm
said
trying to build an empire.
that
Okay,
one too pumping.
And
a
she can't do
massive
that with a
empire.
sweaty
So
body on top of
therefore,
her.
listen, every orgasm matters. Okay, every orgasm, lives. matters.
That's funny, but it's the truth. But it's so
No,
true
seriously.
though. We don't. We really have that demoted is not the word. It's almost like demoting yours. The demote sex is just this.
Downplaying it.
That's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for. We downplay sex so much and made it into a sport when it's so much more than that. It's a tool. You know what I'm saying? It's a healing process. It's so much if we would respect it. You know what I mean?
You
And I
know, it's
feel
not
like
even.
that's what we need to do. Respect that. And I feel like them doing this can potentially lead to that.
Hmm.
You just gotta be responsible. Just be
So heal. So we're wrapping up right now. So I'll go at my final topic or my final little keynote is heal and be mindful of sexual triggers. How you feel in the sexual environment? Are you uncomfortable in the sexual environment? Are you ever fully naked when being sexual? If not, why not? Do you like the light on, or is the light always off? And if it's always off, why is it always off? Is it because you don't
She
want them to
asked,
see you?
what is all these questions for?
because though
Do we
because
have
they
to
tie
answer
in because they tie in to your traumas. Like I know
Exactly. Because if I was bullied for seven and for what? Freaking, I don't know how many years, like 16,
you
17
trying
years.
to be innocent over there, Scorpio
My
son.
yeah, you trying to be in she done got blushed rosy
the
red.
You the
judgment?
whole sex sign over here. You trying to
Girl, and
act
don't I
like you
know
got
all
that
the exes
pa.
are
You acting like
Scorpios. You're
you
not
got
gonna
that
play
pa.
me, Quita. You're not playing me. Look.
But no, but she's absolutely right. And I'm gonna make this point when you said that. Like because of my mom's traumas, she's very closed in with her body. She doesn't even like being undressed in front of me, and I came out her quiet.
Hmm.
Me, I'm always naked. The only reason why I got on a shirt right now is
God.
because we live. I promise you, I watched two of my other aunts walk around their houses naked, so they were very comfortable with their body. So I'm very comfortable with mine, and my man has made me comfortable with that. Like he don't, not to say he don't like me in it, but he would prefer. He told me one time if I want to be sexy for him, to show up at my door naked.
With the trench coat. I
Yeah,
can't wait till I pull
not
that
even
move
a
on
trench coat,
somebody. I'm
maybe some
doing that
heels,
shit.
but booty ass
Ooh.
naked. And mind you, I met him when I was 260 pounds.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I'm more
yeah,
that
because
person. I'm more
I've never been violated.
cover up.
Yeah, see now because I've never been violated, I'm very comfortable with my body. Ask Misha. I try real hard not to show her my titties when we do.
Every day I call her. She like, hold on, let me
Try
because
really, really hard. Ask any of
see,
my closest friends, they will tell you.
yeah,
Try
because I
real
don't be
hard not
caring.
to
I'll
do
be
that.
like, hold on one second, Tamara. Let me get some clothes on. I'm naked. Like, don't
Yeah,
care.
like because I'm comfortable
I'm
with
complete
that.
opposite. I'm so like I don't sleep like some people be like, oh, I sleep now. Like it can be 100 degrees outside. I got a hood. Like I don't. I'm just like clothed person.
Are you
Like what
comfortable,
if it's like a fire and you naked and you got to run out the house? Like
girl? They ask the ladies.
I'm
They
gonna grab a skirt, some something,
right.
and yeah.
I'm different.
Wrap myself up in a sheet. If
I'm
that's the case,
clothed.
I'll walk out with the sheet and just grab some clothes real quick.
I gotta have at least like a t-shirt. Like I don't know. I'm always like got
I'm all
clothes
for
on.
body regulation. You being naked teaches your body how to regulate its own temperature. And that's the scientific fact that stands my argument for why I
Okay.
like to be naked when I
Well,
sleep.
cool. Well, shit. I'll throw that in there too. I ain't
Mhm.
know nothing about that, but we'll throw
Yep,
that in
yep,
there.
yep.
I'm just not. I can't sleep with clothes. Only time I sleep with clothes on when I have to. If I'm at somebody else's house.
Or if I'm trying to make a point that you ain't getting none tonight, I sleep with clothes on.
That don't even work.
Yeah, I
That
gotta
don't.
have
That don't work. That don't work. That don't work in my situation.
Take those clothes off, girl.
All I got. All that just
see
shows.
all that judgment. You talk about me and I be having clothes on.
See.
It was only one. I can only remember one time I was asleep and I don't know, like I had clothes. I was just sleeping. I woke up. I was like, oh, I gotta take this off, and I completely took all my clothes off. I don't know what came over me, but I just didn't have them clothes on, and I just stripped like while I was in the bed. But other than that, I always got clothes on. Like I'll be sleeping in hoodies,
Well,
girl,
here's another thing too.
everything.
You got kids.
Oh
Ain't
yeah,
no
you got
kids
the
on roof.
Yeah, but you got two boys. You have two sons,
yeah
right?
Yeah, they
I'm sure that's
that plays a part.
for it a little bit. Because if I had children,
mm-hmm.
you know what I'm
And your
saying,
boys are
especially
older too.
boys,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't think I would be walking. I wouldn't walk around my,
Yeah, now my daughter, you a girl,
yeah, you
be
know
all
what I
right.
mean. But
Right.
Right, girl,
yeah,
we got the same thing.
Yeah.
but that plays with that. You know how people feel. Because my mom, one time I was trying to force. I wasn't trying to force her, but for me, it was just like, Mom, I'm your child. What you tripping about? Nah, she about to curse me out. I was about to get my ass whooped because she was not playing because that's traumatic for her.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that those things absolutely play roles in how you behave and what you like and what you don't like
Right.
to do. You know what I'm
And
saying?
so this is why I was going with my questions. You guys,
Yeah, yeah,
because these are questions that you never think about it because like you said, we get
Yeah.
programmed and whatever sex life we introduce with, it can go on for 10, 20, 30 years before we realize we're not happy in it. So when you have these habits and stuff like wanting to hide yourself when you're supposed to be opening yourself, you have to wonder why is that? Is it because I'm uncomfortable with myself? Is it because this person has made me not feel able to be as comfortable with them as I should be? Is it
all
because sometimes it'll be because that person has given you insecurity. Sometimes it'll just be self-rooted insecurity. So you have to be able to have that discernment so
yep.
that you know how to handle the situation.
I had to learn that real. We'll go another hour talking about that. I had
The-
to really separate my insecurities off of what he was actually. Yeah, girl, she right. But
okay, so maybe we do a part two. We'll do a part two this
all
sometime.
right, part two next week. There you go. Next
Next week.
Tuesday.
well,
Next Tuesday. That'll be that. That'll be it. We're gonna part two this because yeah, like those things really people like you said, people don't think about that. You just go through your
Mm-hmm.
life and feel like, oh, this is just me, but you are a reason. You know what I'm saying? You are the way you are for a reason, and understanding all of that makes a better you. It makes you can use that discernment a whole lot better if you actually know who you are and why you do the things that you do.
Like
So,
I thought I was broke. I thought that because I thought that I had sorry, Quita. I
oh no,
thought that I had all of my orgasms had been used up as a child, honestly.
really?
And so I really felt like I knew that I had this really experienced a real orgasm, but for a while I honestly thought that was because of the sexual abuse I had went through as a child. So then that kind of made me feel inefficient as a woman. Like, oh well, you got used up, dried up, you know.
Mhm.
Vagina already and you're only 22 because it was already used up as a child. And so those were things that I actually had to get comfortable with, thoughts that I had to combat and recognize as lies about myself in order for me to grow into my sexuality, in a healthy way. And so,
All right, well, we're gonna wrap this on up. Tell them folks where to find you. Whichever one of y'all talk first is whichever one of y'all's gonna go. Really, ladies, really. That's how y'all gonna do
I look.
this. So do I gotta pick? Cause I'm gonna just put you on solo.
Thought since this is Misha's topic, I thought she was gonna go first.
All right, well, bow. Okay.
all
See,
right, see.
buddy.
Well, Misha, my name is Misha once again, if you didn't know that by now. And it's Misha's Healing Love is the name of my business. I do certified Reiki practitioner work, energy healing, alchemy work, spiritual counseling, more so like life coaching, as well as on TikTok, Celestial Reiki 33. You can find Reiki videos as well as motivational videos. On Instagram at Misha's Healing, on Facebook at Misha's Love Tribe, and Misha'sHealing.com, Roku at Inspire Media, YouTube, Inspiration TTV, and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. right here on YouTube, Facebook, and StreamYard.
Hey, I like that. Like that. Like that. Next.
So I am Taquita. Scorpio Sun Tarot. I have a YouTube channel where I do my tarot readings. I do tarot readings in regards to general messages, financial, love, spiritual messages. So if you're interested, you can follow me over on YouTube under Scorpio Sun. I also have a group on Facebook, a private group called Scorpio Sun as well. You can follow me there and join the group. If you are interested in a personal reading, you can email me at scorpio2sun2 at gmail.com. And also, you can find me here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock for this podcast.
Hey, all right. So y'all can find this podcast on Amspire Media Network. That is on Roku TV. Make sure you get one. Go to Wally's World, Walmart, whatever you call it, and get you one for $24.99. That's the cheapest I've seen. So go and get you one so you can get all of this healing from SolSista Therapy. You can also see my Simple Truths with Tell Truth Vision social media live, where I talk about my opinions, thought processes about what I see on social media. Also, we do Ampspire interviews. I learn and find and attract all the most amazing people. So they need exposure. Y'all need to see them and they need to see you. So if you are an amazing person, come on through the Ampspire interviews so we can get the world seeing you. On Sundays with Spirit. My cousin, 33 Master Teacher, is also an intuitive reader. So we put our little spin on tarot on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Okay, so make sure you tap into that. And if you are a content creator, you have a podcast of your own, if you are a business who needs advertisement on television, make sure you hit us up at 478-318-6933. And you can also email us at ampspirecontent999 at yahoo.com. That's ampspirecontent999 at yahoo.com. All right, this was awesome. I love you, ladies. We're gonna do part two of this. You know what I'm saying? Since this is a big old topic, and I guess I'll lead it next time. I guess I'll
Okay.
let you off the hook, and I'll stop.
Also, I want to give a disclaimer. Not that I take back anything I say, because I stand by my truth. I only speak what I feel is my truth. But also, I love everybody, and so in my statements, do I never want anyone to feel judged or like I look down upon them for their options and their choices of their life and their life journey. Because I understand that everyone has different situations and obstacles and decisions and choices they have to make on a day-to-day basis. My simple argument is it doesn't take a lot to be consciously responsible with our sexual actions, you know? But I still love you no matter who you are and no matter what choices you make in life, okay? And you're right, the government has no say in that. That should be a personal
Well, on that note, we're gonna get
thing.
on out of here. So appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of y'all's Tuesday night, and yeah, keep healing. That's gonna be the hashtag. Keep healing. Bye.
Love.